What's going on, y'all, and welcome on into my very first Etheria restart video. Now, those of you that are coming in from like my Epic 7 stuff, don't worry, I'm gonna have a future video probably tomorrow that's gonna talk about, the initial impressions, tell you guys about the game, should you play it or not, pros and cons, should you reroll, should you play now, wait for the official launch, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. But I've just been so addicted. I'm already at the end game here that I wanted to share with anyone that is currently also playing the open beta. An amazing team that I've found, very free to play, accessible, very, very easy to progress into gear. You're rewarded for investing in these units. And like I said, the most important thing, doesn't include any of the Apex characters or Light and Dark, Moonlight 5 stars, whatever you guys want to call them. It's very, very easy to use, very easy to gear, very straightforward, and works in like almost all the content. And a lot of the characters overlap. So we're going to be focusing on two of the end game boss grinds. They call them thresholds in Etheria Restart. And this is where like 99% of our gear is going to come from. There is another threshold that's going to be very important. But as of open beta right now, I think that's going to be for like some end game PvP, especially has things like immunity set, the bloodbath set. But we're not going to talk about that in this video. The two threshold bosses we're talking about are going to be Terrormaton and DokiDoki. It's going to be like your speed sets and then your attack sets. And that's what I want to share with you guys. Tips and tricks for both of those. What comps to use, how to make it super simple on full auto, by the way. And with a very free to play accessible team like I keep saying. So as of recording, I think we have about 4 days left or so in this final open beta. The official launch, guys, will be on June 5th for Etheria Restart. So expect a lot of content coming from me for this game. And if you do play Epic 7, you play other turn-based games like Raid Shadow Legends, like Summoner's War, I think you should really give this game a try. But once again, just wait for my first impressions kind of overall review video. I just had to already start making some endgame content because I've been absolutely loving the game at the moment. All right, so guys, let's first jump into the characters that we will be using. And for the Terrormaton boss, you're going to see me using Leanne, and I'll go ahead and show my, let's start with the gear in general, and then the stat lines you need. And I'll talk about, obviously different choices, different options in case you're missing someone. But once again, it's so free to play accessible. All of you should be able to get this even on a launch, even as free to play. But let's go and talk about the characters first before actually I jump into gear. Sorry, change my mind real quick. But we're going to be rocking Leanne as our main damage dealer. We're going to have Real Mocha here, who's going to be the main carry in the DokiDoki boss, which is where you're going to get your speed sets. But this could be any unit, anything with damage can work in this spot. I just decided to use her here because, one, I already have her. But any type of damage dealer that can help us burst down the Terrormaton, the arm, the right arm, that's really going to do some damage, will really help. So anyone you can slap on some good gear on, this is actually my backup gear for her. And then I swap her to the main Leanne gear set when she's carrying DokiDoki. But those are going to be two of our damage dealers. We have Gray as well, who I built as kind of a hybrid support. His main role is to give your team crit up, and then he's going to lead into some defense breaks here. So we're going to give him some speed to make sure he's speed tuned appropriately to go in front of our DPS. And then additionally, we want him with some damage. So I kind of just broke up into two different sets here. Obviously, guys, once the game goes official, you'll be able to optimize your gear a lot more nicely than I am. I kind of just slapped on whatever we have here without too much attention to subs, other than, we're trying to get a good amount of crit, assuming we have 30% free crit from his S2. So if you notice, a lot of my characters here, they're sitting around the 60 to 70% range, right? We don't want to go over 100%, but we don't want to, undercap ourselves either. So that's the importance of Gray. And just for the record, he is an SR rank, meaning he's only a 4-star character. He's not one of the rarest in the games, and you start the game with him. So this is already a free character. Leanne is also an SSR, but you start the game with her as well, and you're incentivized in the, let me just show y'all real quick, the hyperlink charters here in Animus Fate to gear her up. This character, I kind of wrote off in the beginning because in most games when they give you a free, 5-star SSR unit, they're typically good, but not like an endgame unit. I think Leanne right now is so dang good to invest into, not just because you have to, right? The game forces you to put points into her skill sets, but she's just amazing. I found in almost all types of content, PvP, PvE, you name it. She just has a great skill set that does a ton of damage, that can also have combat readiness manipulation between the turn meter stealing. So you'll push the boss and their mobs back while also pushing yourself up. It's an actual steal, right? It's a double whammy. So for those reasons, she's very, very good AoE, and then just does a lot of damage. Gray's the setup. Real Mocha is our carry and our secondary DPS. She's going to be important for the DokiDoki fight, because of the crowd control and the fact that she does insane damage, but we'll go over that in just a second. Right now, just for this first boss, she's just a damage dealer. And then we have Freya. Now, Freya's probably the hardest unit to get here. But on launch, her banner will be available. I'll show you guys right now. If we head over to the... sorry. Still a little bit new to the game. Only a week or so. But here's the banner right now, guys. So this will be available. It does say ends in 4 days because that's when the beta is going to end. But on launch, I think she will be the first banner that is just accessible. So I highly recommend you pull. But once again, in a future video, I'll talk about how to, optimize and what to go for, what to roll for, etc. Just understand that her banner is available. So you do have the option to summon her. And in this game, there is no 50-50 pities. If you get unlucky, you'll go to 100 summons to get her. As you can see right here, guaranteed SSR after 100 summons. And the game... I know that free-to-plays that have been playing here in the open beta, they were able to get like up to 500 summons on day 4. So that's just a 500 total summons on their entire account. So you'll be able to get Frey no problem as a free-to-play. They shower you with free summons and all that. So let's go back to our list here and finish off the units that we're using. Next up, we have, I believe for the Terror comp, we were running Marvel, or Marvel as some call him. This guy is absolutely insane. He's also an SR unit, and if you've been paying attention to the gameplay footage during Terrormaton, he combat readiness pushed back the boss like it's nobody's business. The boss almost never takes a turn because this guy is so fast, he hits them with speed down and pushes back their turn meter, their combat readiness by 50%. Now I did have to enhance him up. And we're gonna, we're not gonna talk too much, guys, about the enhancement system here in the game, the prowess system. That'll be for future videos. But for SRs, it's a lot easier to manage. They're still kind of rare. They're called lattices, and this is how you're gonna upgrade them. But I'll have future guides talking about which units you should focus on and who to invest into. Just be very careful if you're watching this on when the game does go officially live, that you're very, very careful on where to spend these points in, because even for the SRs, you do have a limited amount. They are time gated. But this character is absolutely busted. You use him not just in the Terrormaton. We don't use him in DokiDoki. You can use him there, but I'll show you that comp here in just a second. But he's also great in PvP. One of the best openers because of his base speed and the fact that he's an SR, easy to invest into. So this exact comp that I'm showing you guys, you can just cleave arena and RTA with as well. So PvP accessible too. This is why I think this composition is so good. Now, there are other options that we can replace here in the Terror team. I do have ML5s, or sorry, Apex units like DokiDoki, which we could just swap in and out for somebody because she's also extremely good. I have carry damage units like Messiah. And then, of course, guys, you're going to probably hear about in a guide somewhere about Tiamat, who is also incredible, especially for the DokiDoki fight. But I wanted to try some other options. And I'll talk about Tiamat when we go over the DokiDoki fight in just a second. And before I forget, let me just go show you guys the gear before we move on. This is my best DPS set. Once again, nothing super crazy to talk about. I could optimize this further by going a 12-8 set even if I just roll a little bit better gear. But once again, just capitalizing on the Gray's free crit rate here, and then just going for a lot of attack and crit damage. Don't worry about the rest. Just make sure your right side is like crit rate, crit damage, attack. Something like that. Just don't overcap your crit. Have a good healthy amount of attack and crit damage. Same thing for Real Mocha's set. This is just a backup set though. Gray, once again, I'm on a hybrid speed plus damage set just because he's trying to fulfill both roles as a backup damage dealer as well as supporting the team with that crit rate and defense break. Frey is kind of our secondary opener. She provides some sustain. She does a lot. She does combat readiness or turn meter pushback as well as turn meter push up for your squad. Provides a lot of support, sustain. Does a lot for the team. So I highly suggest getting her. She's also very, very good in a lot of other areas as well, just like all the units I'm talking about here. And last but not least, we talked about Marvel, and here is his geared lineup. Both Freya and Marvel, you want to make sure you have some effect accuracy. I don't know the exact numbers yet, guys. Unlike an Epic 7, I can't really tell where the boss's effect resist, but I've seen people rock anywhere from like 50 to 100 plus, okay? So your mileage may vary. Right now on Freya, I'm at 63. I do notice sometimes she does miss landing debuffs, but Marvel at 114 almost never misses, right? So I think as the bosses progress, their effect resist goes up. All right, let's talk shop about the DokiDoki fight. We're going to use 3 of the same characters between Real Mocha, Gray, and Freya. I already discussed and showed you guys the gear for them, but we're going to swap up 2 units here. Marvel is going to be replaced by Kazuyo because instead of the turn meter reduction and speed down and stuff, we're going to want a unit that provides some nice crowd control. Now, Kazuyo is amazing at that, and I found she can even work with no investment, meaning no skill enhancements. That being said, if you do have extra lattices you want to use for, I think it's fine. It's just this is the only area of the game that I use her in, unlike Marvel, where I use in a lot of other areas like the shell farming as well as PvP. So I think he's a better investment for your, the rare lattices. As well as we're going to throw in a healer here in the form of this green Sonya, who's just going to provide some RNG protection. That way, when units die here, she can revive them, and she'll also provide some sustain because we're not able to clear this super fast yet. Now, if your gear is amazing and you have some other units, you could swap out the healer here for another damage dealer or like another turn meter kind of manipulation unit. But I found just adding in Sonya, who you want a sustain unit in general in Etheria Restart, that she works extremely well. I use it in a lot of areas, so I already had her built. And she provides some consistency, like I keep saying. Now, some of you guys may have the SSR for free on the 7-day event called Ling Luo. Just keep in mind that I think Sonya is much better still in this role because of that revive mechanic. As you can see here, in case Romoka or someone dies early, like our Kazuyo, we can actually end up reviving them later. And another additional thing is some of these mobs in the DokiDoki threshold do stun you. And unfortunately, Lingo cannot heal when she is stunned, whereas Sonya, no matter what, stunned or not, as long as she takes a turn, at the end she will heal the 2 lowest units. So that kind of just wraps up this fight for the DokiDoki. Once again, neither of these fights I think are 100% consistent, but as I improve my gear, as you improve these units, you will get to, reach that high consistency rate. But they're both very easy, free-to-play accessible teams that you can start rocking right now. So let's go ahead and jump straight into the gear, as well as I need to show you some targeting mechanics. One nifty feature right now in Etheria, and big shout out, by the way, guys, to my Twitch chat who really helped me out with this, make this a lot more consistent. I was having a little bit of trouble in terms of RNG. But yeah, by the way, we stream this almost every single day, so I hope you guys can stop by either on the Twitch or the YouTube live streams. Come hang out. We're still playing Epic 7 and a lot of Etheria now. But I would keep mentioning the targeting mechanics. And for this boss, one nifty feature in Etheria is we can actually choose when on full auto on where our units are going to attack and in what priority order. Some really cool stuff here, unlike other games. So what you're going to want to do for both waves, wave 1, set the security guard A, B, and then Andrew A and B. And that's because of the way this boss mechanic works and how Doki is going to provide certain buffs for her units. That's the order we're going to want to go in. And more importantly, too, is wave 2. You want to set this order up. Same thing. Make sure it's Mutagenist A, B, Elite Generosity A, B, and then last but not least, Elite Bravery. And once again, this is because you want to knock these units out and focus them. This is what the boss is going to start landing. You'll see some special effects like starting on Mutagenist A. So you knock them out, especially if you're using Real Mocha, and that's where it's going to provide some extra synergy with the way her kit works in terms of extra damage. But in general, that's going to help smooth out your runs when you're on full auto. Let me go ahead and just jump out of this real quick, though. Actually, let me start it, and then we'll go ahead and minimize that in the background. Another cool feature, by the way, if you guys are watching and haven't seen the game yet, but we can run that in the background here and go ahead and check out the gear. So I think I swapped the best gear set over to Real Mocha for you guys. So I already showed you this is the same gear that was on Leanne earlier. I just swapped the backup set with the main DPS set. Gray, just showing you guys again real fast. Same thing with Freya. We kind of already talked about it though. And then here's the Sonya. This is our healer. And I did kind of just throw in some random, what do you call them, enhancements here. I think in the future when Global goes live, on the official launch, I think I'll focus mostly just skill 2, as I think this is where the bulk of her healing comes through, and skip in skill 3 in general. I might even just actually not even level up any skills at the start and focus units like Gray first and Marvel. But in general, I think she works even without any skill enhancements. But if you do, I would focus skill 2 first. From playing, I think it is by far the best returns on your investment. Last but not least, who did we have here? We had the healer. I believe it was, oh yeah, Kazuyo. So this is there's actually 2 different versions of Kazuyo. We want to use the green one, Kazuyo the Reverie, and that's because of her massive amount of crowd control effects. She has attack downs, some sleeps. Her passive also has some crowd control, and then the single target also has an additional sleep. So this is why we use her. You can also run units such as Kraken. A lot of other free SSRs have crowd control baked into their kits. But in my findings, I think Kazuyo is the best, especially at low investment. I have 0 prowess skill enhancements in terms of like actually upgrading her skill set. If you do want to invest in here, it'll make it smoother. But in my findings, I would rather in the beginning invest in units like Marvel and Gray. instead, and then focus her maybe later if ever. Maybe we just keep her at low investment, low cost, 0 skill enhancements for now. She works amazing already as is. But here's her, oops, sorry guys. Let's go in and just, it's the Marvel set I showed y'all before, so you guys already have seen the gear set, but just in case, let me go and find, here's the speed set. Another thing is we have gear loadouts on day 1 as well, guys. So background battling, gear loadouts. Once again, just wait for my my first impressions video. I'll talk about all that stuff, the pros and cons. But here's the set. Same thing, just high speed, a lot of effect accuracy, so we can land those debuffs and sets up the team because DokiDoki requires crowd control to do full damage. Now, the other replacements I mentioned, you could run units like Kraken, a lot of SRs that have crowd control. In terms of main carries, if you guys don't want to have or use Realmoke on your selector, maybe you don't pull her, the other obvious choice is Tiamat. Now, Tiamat, ignore this set. This is kind of just stuff I had thrown on her before I reset her. But Tiamat is just an amazing unit that you'll see in most guides recommend. I still think she's very solid. I'm just discovering, and a lot of players are discovering, that there's other options that might even be more optimal as the game progresses, because people say she does fall off later. However, I think she looks great. I love her kit. I like that she's like a bruiser style unit that works in a lot of areas of the game as well. That's the key thing here. We want to pick units that are good in multiple areas of Etheria. Surprise, surprise. But in general, you can use her as your main carry. She combos well as long as you have some support from units like Sonya. Here's the free Ling Luo that I talked about you get on day 7. As long as she has a healer with her, Tiamat can kind of just solo the boss. It might take a lot longer than my other setup because she doesn't do as much damage, but she's safe, provides mitigation, sustain, and can do some AoE damage, right? Take care of the boss herself. With all that being said, I think we'll wrap things up there. Be on the lookout for my other Etheria videos coming very soon. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Please stop by any of the live streams. Hit me up anytime on Discord as well. And I hope to see you guys either on Epic 7 or Etheria Restart. So thanks so much, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.